Hey, what's going on everyone? JSTCG here coming at you. It's been a minute, but I have a Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for you. Now, the last 3 months, I really haven't been playing much Yu-Gi-Oh! At all. I've been big into the Pokemon TCG because I really hated Ishizu tier. And that deck's pretty much destroyed now because of the new ban list that went into effect this week. We do have Kashtira, which is like the new #1 meta deck. It's also super expensive, and I just really am not looking forward to playing against it, and I'm not going to be building it. As you guys can see here, I have my Dark World deck that I have been putting the time into playing and getting used to, and I think this is going to be like the main deck I play, at least for the near future. The other deck I want to make some videos on coming up is Branded Despia. I'm going to be relearning that deck and using some of the new cards that have recently come out for it and try to put together a list for you. And I'm just basically going to play these 2 decks moving on. I do want to kind of revisit Dragon Link as well because we have the new Bestial that came out, and Destrudo's at 3, so I don't know if there's something we can do there, but I do want to revisit that deck. But basically what you guys can expect is Yu-Gi-Oh! News and pack openings, and then videos and discussions talking about Dark World and talking about Branded Despia. I'm going to be learning these decks better and hopefully becoming a better player and see how they do against the Kashtira matchup. But, you know, even in a Kashtira dominated format, I feel like these decks might have their times to shine, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm excited to profile this for you. Like I said, I've been having a lot of fun with this. I feel like if Kashtira wasn't a thing, like if it just didn't exist, or it wasn't quite as powerful as it is, and tiers got hit as hard as they did with this new ban list, I feel like this would be a very good top contender deck because again, it's graveyard based, there's RNG based, it kind of has like some Tearlaments vibes when it goes to that, and then it's just explosive, it's powerful, it's a combo deck, and there's a lot of different ways you could build this and play it. I like the Danger version, which is, you know, kind of more RNG based because, you know, they're activating from the hand and your opponent's choosing and stuff. But I think that's a fun aspect of the deck, and you know, it can pay off if you get the right cards in the graveyard. So yeah, let's go through this and talk about it. Also, before we jump into this, big shout out to Zephyr War Games. You guys might already have seen a lot of their deck profiles. They have a bunch of different content, but they inspired me to play this deck and learn it. They have a bunch of different builds on their channel and different test hands and different combos you can do. This is like my Danger Dark World version that I got inspiration from them from their deck profiles, but I also tried to make it like an even 40 cards because they were running like 45 or 50 card lists sometimes, and I like trying to, you know, trim it down to 40, maybe 41, maybe 42 depending. But yeah, so shout out to them. If you want to learn the deck more and see exactly how it works, definitely go check out their channel. They've been uploading a ton of different Dark World strategies, so yeah, big shout out to them. But starting off with the monsters, we have 3 Grapha. This, of course, you need to bring out the new Fusion Grapha, but this is just a really good boss monster. And on top of that, we have the new Rainbow here, which is Rainbow over King of Dark World. So yeah, these 2, they kind of go hand in hand together. They're also just really good beat sticks. You know, 2,700, 3,000 attackers, but yeah, 3 of these 2 for sure. And then I think another very, very standard setup here is 3 Snow and a new card here, 3 Genta from the structure deck. Genta is really good. You can discard this card from your hand to the graveyard, and then you can add the field spell. And then if this card gets banished and you control a Dark World card, not a monster, but a card, you can special summon this. It's also nice because it's a level 4. Snow is a level 4, so, you know, we play a few different level 4s in this deck, and there's ways to overlay into rank 4s, which is nice. Then after that, I have 2 copies of Silva. You guys might already know Silva because it's definitely one of the OG Dark Worlds, but if it's discarded to the graveyard by a card effect, you can special summon it. It's a level 5, 2300, so just kind of a free body to get out onto the field, which is nice. But if this card was discarded to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, then they have to return exactly 2 cards from their hand to the bottom of their deck. I kind of want to try 1 Silva and 1 gold, but I feel like that Silva's effect to just rip cards out of your opponent's hand is really nice. So 2 Silva, and then another card. I didn't know if I wanted to play beige or brow or one of each. I'm on 2 brow. When it's discarded and it goes to the grave, you get to draw a card, which is a big reason why I picked this over beige. And if it's discarded by one of your opponent's card effects, you get to draw 2 cards. And then 2 Surly. This is a common. I really hope this gets like a super printing and like an OTS in the future or something. I think this card's awesome. He gets special summoned onto your opponent's side of the field if he's discarded to the graveyard, and then if he was special summoned by a Dark World effect, then your opponent has to discard a card. So yeah, I think he's pretty cool, and he really needs a holo printing. Maybe we'll see that in the future. This guy's basically an honorary Dark World. This is 2 copies of Salamander Catalyzer. Artwork is insane too. It's like a Grim Reaper on fire, so I was like, I read his effect and I was like, oh, he's actually good in Dark World and he looks awesome. So this is another card that I would love to see at least a super printing sometime, but I don't think that's gonna happen. But yeah, he's like an honorary Dark World. So you can select, or you reveal him and another fiend monster in your hand. You can special summon one of them and then discard the other. And then if one of your fiend monsters destroys another monster by battle, you can add him back into your hand from your graveyard. But yeah, I mean, he's another level 4. You can get him out for free and then trigger your Dark World you discarded. And then if you get another level 4 out, you can easily overlay. Yeah, Salamander is great. And then we move on to our danger cards. So we have 2 copies of Bigfoot, 2 copies of Nessie, 2 Mothman, 1 Thunderbird, 1 Chupacabra, 1 Jackalope, 1 Snake, and then the honorary danger here we have the Black Wing Zephyros. Now, I really don't have a problem with this danger package at all. I feel like it's just the right amount. You don't want to play 3 Nessie, you don't want to max out on the rank or level 8s because we're not focusing on the rank 8s. If you wanted to play like the whole Galaxy Eyes package and stuff, then maybe you do want to play like another Bigfoot or Thunderbird, but that's not really the goal. The goal is to use the dangers to, you know, either have board presence so you can just link them and get into something else, or to activate your Dark World effects by discarding them. Feel free to mess around with the danger ratios. I've seen a lot of different builds online. Everyone plays something different, but just for right now, this seems to be working for me. It's like just the right amount. But yeah, that's it for the monsters. We'll jump into the spells, which is the rest of the main deck. I think we play 31 monsters, maybe 32. All right, moving on to the spell cards. We have lots of 2-ofs, just kind of the way it worked out with this deck. 2 copies of Allure of Darkness. Then 2 copies of the field spell, of course, the Gates of Dark World. And we have more draw power, so you can banish a fiend type monster from your graveyard, discard a fiend monster, and then draw cards. Then 2 copies of the new card, one of the new cards here, Dark World Accession. I always thought it was Ascension, but it is definitely Accession. This is basically how you fuse into your new Fusion Grapha. The materials can be banished from your field or your graveyard, but if you're fusing into a Dark World fusion monster, then you can also discard the materials from your hand, once again triggering their effects. On top of that, when this card's in your graveyard, you can discard a Dark World monster, or is it a Dark World card? Okay, a Dark World monster, and then add this card to your hand. So it's reusable. I mean, I still play 2, but you know, if you're getting stuff, I don't know, from your graveyard, you can just discarded randomly, or, you know, whatever reason, if both copies end up in the graveyard, or a copy ends up in the graveyard and you don't have access to the other one, you can get this back, which is really cool. So 2 copies of a session. Then I play 1 Archives. This is really cool because it can boost up your Dark Worlds, and then it also allows for some extra draw power potentially. And then 1 copy of Puppetry. This card's really good too. You can target up to 3 cards in any graveyards and banish them, and then you discard a fiend monster. And then if it's in your graveyard, you can target one of your banished fiend monsters and add it back into your hand. So more recyclability. You can get rid of annoying cards that might trigger in your opponent's graveyard by banishing them and just say, oh no, sorry, you can't use it. And then for the last spell and the 40th card of the deck, 1 card destruction. Alright, now we're moving on to my favorite part of the deck, which is the extra deck, because this is... I wouldn't change anything about it, and this is where I have to shout out Zephyr Wargames, because I think I have almost their exact extra deck, because it just works so well. I know some people like to play a bunch of the rank 8s and stuff. I'm playing 1 rank 8. This is actually very link based because there are some awesome cards, because you can easily summon out, like, you can have all of your main monster zones full and have a link 2 sitting out, and then you can just start going into bigger monsters, links and exceeds and stuff quite easily with this deck. So anyways, we're gonna move on to this. Also, I love these OCG sleeves I got. I just really like the way these look. So yeah, anyways, 2 Fusion Grapha. I think 2 is all you need. This card's awesome though. I love the artwork. So when your opponent activates a monster effect or a normal spell or trap card, you can basically, you don't negate it. Its effect turns into your opponent discards a card. But then if this card, is it banished, or how do they word it? Oh, so if this card just leaves the field from an opponent's effect, then you can select one of the original Graphas here, whether it's banished or in your graveyard, and then you can special summon it, and then both players have to discard a card. So this card does a lot, and I think it's really cool that he lets you bring back your original Grapha. On top of that, he's 3200 attack, 3500 if you have the field spell out. He's just a big boy, and yeah, I really like him. I like the whole aesthetic of this deck. It's a combo deck, but it's also kind of just like, I'm gonna get out some beat sticks and there's not a whole lot you can do. So like if your effects get negated and stuff, they all have such big attacks that it's like they still have to deal with the body. And I don't know, I just feel like it's kind of like old school Yu-Gi-Oh, which is maybe why I'm drawn to it. But yeah, so we have 2 of the fusion. For the exceeds, we have the 1 Dugaris, 1 Dweller, a Baguska, and then a number 38. And then moving on to my favorite part, the Link monsters. Starting with the Link 2s, we have Akashic Magician, a Muckracker, and Cross Sheep, as well as IP. All of these are insanely good. I'll explain exactly how Muckracker works at the end once we get to some of the other links you guys might already know. Cross Sheep I like to set up when I'm gonna fuse, because then I can use the fusion effect to special summon a level 4 from the graveyard. That level 4 then I can either overlay with something else to get into a rank 4 or link it away into something else. And IP just because it's IP. After that, we have 1 Nightmare Unicorn, and then we play a bunch of Link 4s. So we have 1 Appaloosa, 1 Boral Sword, 1 Saryuja, and then 1 Zealantis. Now, here's the thing. All of these come up. So Appaloosa, of course, for negates. Boral Sword, people don't expect this card anymore. You could play Access Code, but I think Boral Sword's just as good in this deck. Saryuja has just kind of always been played in Dark World decks, even well before the structure deck came out. And Zealantis. This is quickly becoming one of my new favorite cards. I play this in Marincess. I did back in the day. I think I broke that deck apart. I still have like everything to build it though if I want to bring that back. If you guys want a random Marincess deck profile, let me know. Spoiler alert, Zealantis is in there. This card I love so much though, in this deck especially. So there's a cool thing that you can do with your Muckracker, wherever it is. Because Muckracker locks you into Fiend types. Well, this deck is really crazy because you can easily get out a Zealantis and then, you know, like the next turn or even the same turn, go into a Muckracker after. So basically you get out your Zealantis and then you get out after that your Muckracker. So your Muckracker, you're locked into Fiends at that point. Then you use Zealantis effect to banish, you know, everybody's field, whatever on their field, and then you, the player, you put everything back to where they were. Well, Muckracker locks you into Fiends. So if you have Zealantis and, you know, a couple Dark Worlds out, you bring back all the Dark Worlds. But whatever your opponent has, unless it's a Fiend, it can't come back because you're locked into Fiends with Muckracker, which is a very interesting ruling, and I think it's really funny. Obviously, if they have a Fiend, you have to bring it back and put it wherever, but I mean, I don't know exactly what other decks are all playing Fiends, this and Labyrinth, and I don't really know what else. So that's just a really funny combo, and it actually does come up. I was able to pull that off a handful of times, and I just think it's really funny. And I like having all of these links. You could play more Exceeds. Some people like to do that, but I like having the power of all these really good link monsters. All right, and then the side deck, subject to change. I got to do some more testing, but just kind of what I think works for right now. 3 Lava Golem, 3 Spooky Dogwood, and then we have 3 Lightning Storm, 3 Evenly Matched, and 3 Skill Drains. So this card's awesome too because, like I said, this is like old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you can just turn off all of your effects and you're just playing with beat sticks. I mean, you're playing with Grapha, that's 27, potentially 3,000 with the field spell. And you can just turn off your opponent's cards. So Skill Drain actually works out pretty nice in this deck. But there you guys have it. That is my Danger Dark World deck for the new February 2023 format. I'm going to be testing this more and see how it goes with the Kashtira new meta, and I'll update it along the way and maybe make some videos talking about it. So stay tuned for that. And like I said, the other deck I really want to take a look at and revisit is Branded Despia, especially because there's some new cards for that deck. If you want to see all those videos, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe for more. Stay tuned for other Yu-Gi-Oh related videos, whether it's openings or discussions or news about products coming out or whatever. Anything that's interesting about Yu-Gi-Oh that kind of catches my attention and it's something I want to talk about, I like to make videos on. So yeah, let's see if we can get to 1,300 subscribers. That would be much appreciated. I hope you all take care though. I'll catch you in the next one. Until next time, peace out and have a good one.